So hey, what's going on? Scruggs here. I'm going to do a product review, and I'm going to tell you something about this product that I bought. Actually, I didn't buy it, but we're going to get into that in a minute. Had an issue with my 2006 Honda Pilot. Was driving down the road the other day, and it started missing. Check engine light started flashing, so I turned around and took it home. This car has 330,000 miles on it. So going back a ways, oh geez, I can't remember how long it was. Probably a few years ago, the transmission started giving us problems, and we ended up I ended up buying my wife another car, and I'd been driving this one because the transmission would shudder. Well, I can put up with the shuddering, and we priced the transmission, and with that, in addition to what I found, I figured with that many miles on it, because my wife loved this car, she wanted to put a transmission in it. I'm like, well, let me check the engine just to be sure. So I did a compression check on the engine, because it did have 290 some thousand miles on it or whatever, and the engine compression was low, especially on one of the cylinders, cylinder number 6. So I said, well, we're not doing that. We'll just buy you another car, and I'll just drive it until it quits. Well, anyway, back to today, being as that it was missing, I said, well, that cylinder is probably down right far. We get a compression gauge and check compression on that cylinder, because or it could have been anything. Could have been spark plugs, but spark plugs didn't need replacing, and the coil packs I had replaced long time ago. But usually coil packs last a right good while, but these were aftermarket because I couldn't afford the OE Honda ones. But still, it's lasted as long as it has. So anyway, I borrowed my nephew's compression gauge, which was brand new. He never used it. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, weren't you a mechanic for like 40-some years? Don't you have a compression gauge? Actually, I didn't. I never had a compression gauge because I always used the shop compression gauge. Now I work for independent people. They provided some tools they didn't. Well, I didn't buy a compression gauge because usually the shop had one, and I used the shop one. So anyway, borrowed my nephew's. Well, this is what he had. Pittsburgh. Everybody knows who makes Pittsburgh. Harbor Freight. So the first thing I noticed when I opened this up, now the compression gauges that I am used to using, they have hoses like this for each, not each vehicle, but each spark plug thread. Well, this came with these adapters, and then they had the ones that you could push in like we had in the old days in the 70s and the 80s. So these adapters you have to screw onto the end of this hose like this, and it just screws on. And then you put it, now on my Honda, this is number 6 cylinder, which was the one that was really low. If you go in this hole, the spark plug is down in there like 5-6 inches. So here's the problem. You attach this to this and you screw it in. This stays in the cylinder. The hose comes out. So now you have this stuck in that hole, and you have to get that out. Needless to say, I was pretty pissed off at this whole situation. Now, go back to where I borrowed this. When I opened it up, the first thing I thought was, what happens if that piece gets stuck in there? And I should have went with my gut feeling, because that's what happens when you use crap tools. So anyway, I'm going to tell you how I got that piece out. The thread pitch is a 14 by 125. So I thought, if I could find me a 14 by 125 bolt, I can screw it down in there and put some Loctite on it and be good to go. And I could, I'd be all set. So anyway, this never crossed my mind. What I ended up doing, I couldn't find a bolt nowhere. Apparently nobody makes a bolt, especially that long. It would have to be about 6-7 inches long. Never even thought about this. The spark plug fits in the hole. The problem though is this is stuck in the cylinder, and I imagine it's stuck because of this O-ring here, and I don't know. It's just a piece of crap setup. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going to the store and I got some of this, some red Loctite. Now red Loctite is something that when it goes on, it doesn't come apart. So what I ended up doing was I ended up putting some on the threads of the spark plug, screwed it down in there, and I waited 20 minutes. Curing time is 24 hours, but I waited 20 minutes, came out there, got my spark plug socket, came out like a charm. So that's, now the issue is you have to get the Loctite off of the spark plug, which isn't a big deal, but getting it out of here was a pretty big deal. So what I ended up doing was I ended up getting a Dremel tool and went to Harbor Freight, same place that sells this shitty gauge, and I got some wire wheel that would fit in the Dremel tool, and I'll show you a picture of what they look like. Got in there, took it off, great, like a charm. So I would highly not recommend buying this kit. Now, Harbor Freight makes two different kits. The other kit is like the kit that I used to use. Of course, the shop one was a Snap-on one, but a Snap-on one is hundreds of dollars. This kit that I have here was $35. The other kit, which comes with 3 different size hoses, and basically you screw the hose in. There's no adapters, depending on which vehicle you have. And you just screw it out. Well, there's another problem. And it's the way that it's made. If you look here, this piece and this piece are not made together. Now, I've seen in other videos where this will get a weak spot in it and this will actually spin around. And I can actually do that. I can actually turn this, and it's really hard, but if I take 2 hands, I can spin this on this hose. So, if you choose to buy the kit that comes with the 3 different hoses, I'm going to highly recommend, now here's the thing, I'm going to highly recommend that you take some epoxy and put on this area and let it set so that it won't turn. Why they even do this anyway? Snap-on isn't made like that. It's all made as one piece. But I would highly recommend doing that. You know, if you buy a cheap, inexpensive gauge from anywhere that's made like this. So what I ended up doing was I was in such a tizzy that I told my wife she had to go buy, because at first I had no idea how I was going to get that damn thing out of there. I told her to go buy him a brand new kit and just give to him. So I now have a cheap ass Pittsburgh gauge, but I am going to put some JB Weld on this here before I continue with checking the pressure. So I pretty much know what the problem is. The problem is the coil pack went bad. But before I spent any money on this engine, I wanted to check the compression on that cylinder, and that cylinder is still low, but it's enough to fire the cylinder. So I'm gonna go ahead and spend the money on coil packs, because coil packs are not cheap. So even if you get cheap ones, which I'm not getting cheap ones. So anyway, I thought I would just throw this out there. A product review on the Pittsburgh 8-piece compression test kit, part number 62638. Do not buy this, in my opinion. Get the one that has the 3 separate hoses, which is the same damn price. So, and if you do that, again, highly recommend you put some JB weld on that joint before you use it, in case it comes loose. Because if that comes loose, you got a big problem. Because I don't know how in the world you would get that out if you have an engine like mine. And most Hondas, pretty much all Hondas, and I'm going to say Toyotas, have gone to that, I call it a well, spark plug well. And if that hose gets stuck in there, you're kind of screwed. Like I say, the adapter, you can get that out if you can find the same thread pitch pattern, or do like I did and just use spark plug. So yeah, appreciate you watching. I hope this helps somebody out with getting themselves in some trouble, because I'm in day 2 of doing this, and this job shouldn't take no more than a few hours. So thanks a lot, appreciate it.